What's going on? It's your boy God by 2009. I got another joint for y'all today. I got a real good topic to talk about with y'all. So y'all give me a second. I'm gonna give everybody a couple minutes to come into the chat room and set everything up. So I hope everybody had a nice day or whatever. I know I was supposed to do another video yesterday, but I'm gonna go ahead and do this one today. I didn't get a chance to do it, but I had an even better video. So y'all give me a chance to set everything up. And y'all please like as y'all into the chat room. I would appreciate that. Y'all give me a chance. I'm just setting everything up. Got so many topics to do, so y'all just give me time. I'm trying to get them all together, but I got a lot of good topics for y'all, and I haven't forgot any of the requests. It's just I got so many, so it's gonna take me some time. So y'all just give me some time to get that knocked out. I never really did want really going into it about the relationship with the fire signs, and I know I got a lot of requests for that before, so I always avoid it a little bit because it's so much with it, and there's so much information with it. I almost filled up like three pages of information with this, so I probably got to do this one in parts. So y'all just give me a second. Hey Yulia, hey Anna. Come to y'all right. Y'all please like the video. I appreciate that, beautiful people. It would mean a lot to me. Y'all show me that support, and y'all bear with me because I'm gonna kind of be all over the places because there's so much facts and there's so many small little details that people forget about this relationship. I want to make sure that I get it out because I be trying to. I know it's a lot of times, a lot of other things you can go into the differences and why it shouldn't even work and why you shouldn't even really, even try. But I think all of them can work under certain circumstances, and even if it's extreme circumstances. I feel like all the, not all of them. Certain matches just don't go together at all, but certain ones can go together with if you try to work on it, if you know what's going on, y'all understand each other. So y'all just give me a second. I'm gonna jump right into this. Yeah, I got 3 pages of experience. Y'all give me a second. Sometimes I'll be like, I don't want to do it. Nah, I'll do it later. Just procrastinating. Just procrastination. I got so much stuff. I'd be like, they ain't really trying to hear it or whatever. But I even though I know y'all really want to hear it, I be trying to make excuses not to do it because I know this one's going. I got to actually put some work into this one because this one is a little bit longer than my usual videos. I'm just trying to give everybody a couple minutes to come into the chat room because I know everybody. Sometimes it takes everybody a couple minutes to get the notifications, and I try to make sure everybody can see it. Because a lot of people be telling me they try to catch my chats or whatever, and they always miss it. So I'm trying to give everybody a couple minutes. But yeah, I'm gonna go into about this is gonna be all about how the fire signs and like as far as the Aries, Leo, Sagittarius woman really blend in with the Scorpio. But a lot of people don't understand. Like they just know, that a lot of times they're not very compatible or have that much in common. Let me make sure. Yeah, right. Uh-oh. What's up, Troy? Hey, what's going on? That's one of my good friends right there. And these are just from my personal experiences, so don't take it like I'm not like that. Y'all Sagittarius got, I mean, you know, y'all talk about Sagittarius too bad, or y'all talk about Leo's too bad, or whatever. This is not anything personal against all, fire signs. This is just giving a whole outlook on the big picture, especially from my own personal standpoint. I apologize. I'll make sure I had it in. But yeah, this is talking about, a lot of times, it's enormous. Everybody knows, it's obvious that there's enormous difference between the fire and the water signs. So I gotta make that clear, like on what is it that really, gets the Scorpio out of whack, and what really makes it kind of difficult for the Scorpio to really understand the water signs and the fire signs, and what is the enormous clash? That's what everybody wants to really understand. What is it, the enormous clash that makes it, almost unbearable or almost extremely difficult to, cope with sometimes, or why certain relationships, work and why certain ones don't. So I'm gonna go into the Aries. You know, the Aries are, the Scorpios we are very introverted signs, you know, but as the fire signs, they're very extroverted, and this is called the clash because for one, the Scorpio is more of a introverted, extremely introverted sign. Is also water signs, very private. We're not the type that really we do mix in. We can mix in with big crowds. We can mix in with a lot of people because we know we have our different businesses and different things we have to do that we deal with a lot of people. But as far as having some type of intimate, personal a relationship where we just throw information or just become, overnight friends with basically complete strangers, and people that we don't have anything in common with, that we don't have any type of substance, as far as experiences and things of that nature. We're not that Scorpio's not gonna be that type that really cling too well to that. So, and I know that that's what caused a lot of fire signs are very extroverted. They like to be in enormous crowds. They like to really make a lot of friends, make a lot of new friends, mix with a lot of different people. Enormous crowds of people. Different. And the Scorpio, we love mixing with all types of people and different people as well. But we're not going to just throw ourselves into their arms and trust them, and just mix with all these different people, or bring them into our house, and just try to throw them into our friends' faces and try to make them friends with each other, and try to throw people in, like, that's more of an extroverted sign type of thing. They really like to be surrounded by crowds. They like to be around a lot of people. They like to mix with all different types of people. You know what I mean? And a lot of times it does, even whether they realize or not, it does cause problems for them in their personal life, because when you mix with enormous groups of people, it can cause all types of drama. It can cause all types of conflict. It can cause all types of, unnecessary, problems, unnecessary hassles that the Scorpio and more, so water signs would like to avoid. So it causes a lot of times it causes a clash. Not saying every fire sign, every Aries and Leo, Sagittarius necessarily are extroverted and are these enormous chatterboxes, but a lot of them, for the most part, and the majority, especially the ones that have it in their Sun and their Venus, they're very more extroverted. They're extremely extroverted. They love to do adventurous things. Even if a fire sign necessarily says they're not very extroverted, they have, even though you don't have an extroverted social life, you might have an extroverted personality as far as doing random things on a wing, just doing things that's out of the blue, that's not your normal personality. Just do things on impulse. You know what I'm saying? A fire sign have more of a personality, or a bold personality, that do things more based on impulse instead of really, giving it a thought, or really making it vocal. You know what I'm saying? I know especially a lot of Sagittarius have a very bad habit for doing things on impulse. because a lot of times they have this, almost a naive kind of way of moving. And a lot of times it makes them very bold and brave and adventurous, but it also gets them in all types of clamorous trouble, all types of drama. It gets them in all types of problems with people because they're not very they're not very strategic on how they move. They more of a, they would be the kid that colored outside of the lines. You know what I'm saying? They wouldn't be that kid that color inside the lines. They're very, my way or the highway. And a lot of times it can cause problems between, you and your Scorpio, whether it's a friendship or whether it's a relative or whether it's a relationship. It can cause a lot of problems because the introvert and the extrovert, they're basically night and day. So as far as communicating, y'all have to understand the differences between how y'all communicate, how y'all see things, and make that clear to each other. Make that like, this is what I want to do. Don't try to assume that the other person is going to understand. You got to make things clear. You can't just do things. Even though Sagittarius and the Leo are like very outgoing, they don't really like to do a lot of explaining, but you got to understand, if you want to be in a relationship with somebody and build something with somebody, you got to have that respect and you got to have that understanding, especially as growing as an adult and trying to build something with somebody, even though you're a adventurous and bold person and have a fiery personality or character traits, you got to still, compromise. You got to still have understanding. You got to still think wisely as far as trying to build something. Hey, Garland. Hey, Toy. Hey, Kay Grant. Hey, Nina Moore. Hey, Angela Morton. Hello, everybody. Hey, Anna, Fashion Illustrator. As always, Yulia. Please, y'all make sure y'all please like as y'all into the chat room. I would really appreciate it. Don't y'all be doing like the old head told me. Don't be air hustling. Y'all make sure y'all show me some love. Don't just watch the video. Please support it also, because I did put a lot into this one, because I didn't want to just, I could have just did it off the top of my head, but I really wanted to make sure I got a lot of facts out. I'm gonna have to make this more than one part because it's so many dynamics about this relationship, about water signs versus fire signs. So I got to really dig into this one, because this one is very, very big. There's a lot of facts to this relationship. It's a lot of negatives. It's a lot of positives, a lot of pros. There's a lot of cons, yin and the yang. You know what I'm saying? Fire, water. You know what I'm saying? The water calms the fire down into a cool smoke. The fire can turn the water into steam. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing. At times we need each other, but at times it can turn to a disaster. At times it can be at the right time. But if y'all understand each other, if y'all try to take the time to really focus on each other and really understand, then it's not that difficult as it seems. Because I know a lot of you have brothers and sisters that y'all water signs, and your brother and sister is fire signs, and y'all can agree and chime in on what I'm saying, because I'm definitely trying to be honest. I see I got a friend from South Africa. I am from South Africa, and my boyfriend is Scorpio, but I'm a Capricorn. Yeah, Capricorns mix very well with Scorpios because they have they're very much loners, and they're very much individuals that stay to themselves. So yeah, that's a good relationship. I can't really enunciate your name, but don't feel bad, because my name is it's very eccentric and it's very different. Even if I used it as my name for my page, people would think it was a nickname, because that's how weird my name looks. So don't feel bad. The Aries and the Scorpio. I'm gonna talk about all of them. I'm gonna talk about all the differences that I can. I can't put everything into one video, but I'm gonna go into it as much as I can. Then we gonna go into it. I'm gonna go into the dialogue, the chat room and stuff. The Aries and Scorpio, we both have fiery tempers. We both have egos in common, and this can put an enormous gap as far as communication. Because at times we can both be unreasonable. We can both be reckless with our actions and as well as our words. We can both cause each other to become very angry. We can insult each other to the point of trying to compete against each other and having a shouting match. because the Aries are very bold, they're very blunt. They're not the type to really take anybody trying to pull them any type of direction, anybody trying to muscle them. And Scorpio is not the type that will take anybody being, very kind of reckless with their words and not really thinking about what they're saying. And the Aries are very blunt. They're the type that really don't care how they come across to you. Either you take it or leave it. You deal with it how you want to. And that's another thing they have in common. They both have that I'm not going to answer to the next person. I'm going to do it my way on the highway type of personality. But at the same time, it has to be a compromise because both of y'all have both of us, as the Aries and the Leo, and the Aries and the Scorpio have, fiery tempers and reckless with our words. But it's it's I think it's the respect thing. It's an enormous respect thing. I feel as long as there is a mutual respect and understanding between both parties, I feel like it's definitely worth a try. It's definitely worth giving, a chance to, because I feel like the Aries and the Scorpio, they do extremely well in business together, because they're both passionate. And I don't want to skip around no points like I always do, but yeah, they're both fiery. Both of them as a pair is a very fiery pair, is a very dynamic couple. Like there's nobody that's going to hassle. There's no group of people that's going to hassle Scorpio and the Aries when they're together. That if one of them's going to stand up and get you straight and put you in your place. You're not going to come up to an Aries and Leo. I mean, Aries or Leo or Scorpio couple and try to maneuver them or manipulate them, because they both have that keen sense on understanding certain parts of life. But the Aries are more. They're more. They do things more on the impulse with their words. Like the Scorpio, we think deeply before we say something, even if it's mean or has a certain pinch to it that stings. Is we think about it. At Aries, they'll just blurt out things just on an impulse, just for a reaction. And at times it can be understandable, because Scorpio, we can be very blunt and we can be very stubborn and mean with our words. But you just got to understand, it's all about understanding each other and putting the egos to the side. And I feel like once y'all kill the ego, as far as being the Aries and Scorpio relationship, if you can kill the ego and put the bullshit and the anger and the rage and fiery passion to the side for a second, be like, okay, I really want to be with this person. I want to make it work. You got to be like, hey, I'm gonna put that to the side. I'm gonna put my bullshit to the side. I don't know everything. And the person in the Aries do the same thing. And I feel like it can work. The Leos are very upfront. They have a very bold bluntness about them when it comes to their words. And at times it can bother the Scorpio and may cause an argument. And the Leo, lively pride could ruin the whole relationship, because a lot of times both parties are wrong, because a lot of times Scorpio can be, extremely stubborn. A lot of times the Scorpio can be, controlling to a certain extent, but it's all about. But one thing about Scorpio, we're willing to put our pride and our egos to the side in order to make sense of things. We are all about, being logical and being fair as far as, looking at the whole standpoint on a relationship. Hey, I am Queen. Hey, Leah. Older astrology, Aries and Scorpio share a planet. Hey, Miss Likeable. Yeah, and it's like I feel like once like a Leo. One thing about Leo, they're not the type that really likes to really put their pride and their egos in there, because they're very prideful. They love being appreciated. They love compliments. You can't. There's no such thing as giving enough compliments to a Leo. I don't care what kind of Leo they are, what they're rising or whatever. They love having their ego rubbed, even if they're introverted. On the introverted side, which I haven't seen too many introverted Leos, if that actually exists. But they love their pride and their ego rub, and Scorpios are not the type to really try to stroke people's egos, go over and beyond everything, every compliment, every good word, every attribute that we add to the relationship is going to be earned. Everything is going to be fair. It's not going to be anything, because of how you look or because how big your ego is, and we feel that we have to keep keeping your ego just to keep you in a relationship. That's not going to work. You know what I'm saying? In order for it to work, Scorpio, us as Scorpio, we got to put our stubbornness to the side. We got to understand that, people are different. You know what I'm saying? We do have people that are extremely different, but opposites can attract at times, but a lot of times it don't. You know what I'm saying? And that's the reality. But it's good to understand each other because it's always that 5% that they actually work, and that's what I'm trying to help y'all to do. You know what I'm saying? Even if you have a problem, I have a certain disagreement that you feel that is unavoidable to overcome, and it can still be a lot easier to handle once you educate about it. Once you understand the problem, the root of the problem, then you can get rid of it. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot easier to get rid of, even if it takes some time. Hey Ellen, hey Nikki Jones, love this. Can't wait to see if you do a water signs video. Can't someone? Oh yeah, I definitely do a water sign video one day. Just give me some time, cause this one I'm gonna have to break this one into parts because that's how much facts I got about this, and I have my own personal stories about it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not gonna get off the subject. Don't get me wrong. It's still gonna be the same thing. A lot of times, I tried to deal with a lot of Sagittarius. As far as having a relationship, building some type of friendship or bond. But they're very wonderful. They're very intelligent. Sagittarius women are very intelligent. They're very wonderful. They're very jovial. And what I mean by jovial, very happy, very upbeat, very versatile, very diverse when it comes to being their self and personality traits and information and intelligence. But a lot of times, Sagittarius, they can be very, they can be also reckless. You know what I'm saying? They can be reckless. They can be very random. Almost childlike. Like they like to blurt whatever comes on the top of their head. And at times, that's very honest. They can be very honest, and that's what the Scorpio respects about the Sagittarius. They're very honest, but at the same time, it can get where is it coming from? A lot of times the Scorpio don't understand because a lot of times Sagittarius, they come from all over the place, and they say, and they're very what's the word for it? They have that bouncy thing about them. They can't really stay still. They're not the type of person that's gonna be. You're not gonna be able. They have to be stimulated. They have to be constantly stimulated, and at times that can come too exhausting for a Scorpio which has more of a laid back, standpoint on doing things. But we still had that same aggression. We still had that same passion, which the Sagittarius is very, it fascinates the Sagittarius because they love people with passionate, personalities. They love people with exciting personalities, people with intelligent minds, people with eccentric personalities. But it's just they get all over the place. It's hard for them to stay at one standpoint, and that's where the problems come about because when the Scorpio wants them to focus in on one thing, the Sagittarius will become bored with that, and they want to bounce back and forth. But they don't realize is Scorpio don't want to bore them, but we want you to focus in on one thing because we know if you complete that, it will bring the best out of you. It will make you that much better. But it's hard for a Sagittarius to really focus in and really take something seriously, and that's why a lot of times in the Sagittarius woman, they see them bounce around a lot from friend to friend, from post to post, because it's hard for them to keep be situated. They can't really be situated. They're very not to be negative or anything. They can be scatterbrained at times. The Sagittarius woman can be scatterbrained, but at the same time, she's very philosophical. She can be very intelligent. She brings a lot of excitement, a lot of playfulness to the relationship that a Scorpio, us as being Scorpio individuals, are not very used to. We used to more serious, more introverted personalities. So when the Sagittarius woman brings her A game, it's very she brings a whole lot of fun, a whole lot of excitement. Y'all make sure y'all like the video too. Don't just be sitting there and make sure you like the video. Whoever's watching, even the people that's not in the chat room, please like the video. Don't be scared to say hi. I know I can be very, like almost like acid at times the way I come across, but y'all got to understand I got so many videos and so much stuff, and it's also very exciting to me. So at times, yes, I do get excited when I do videos because I enjoy having it. I have fun with y'all doing this. I'm gonna get to the next fact. Another thing that Leo has in common. Another thing that Leo has in common with the Sagittarius, they both fixed signs, and they can work both, and they can work in both parties' favor in the relationship. But they're, just with compromise, they're both fixed. One thing about Leo, she likes her admiration. She likes her little fan club. She likes, to be spoiled, and things of that nature. But at the same time, once she realizes, that you're a man worth, being respected, worth being in a relationship with, she will give her undying loyalty. She's extremely loyal. They can be very affectionate women, very expressive, very charismatic. They had that charisma and that confidence that like that Halle Berry, because she's also a Leo, like that Halle Berry type of swag, like just like that it girl kind of thing. But it's just the multiple needing the multiple feeding of attention and needing compliments and endless gratitude about how her appearance and this and thing. Sometimes it can become kind of nerve wracking for a Scorpio. Okay, like, oh God, I'm not what is wrong with her now? It just becomes almost like a platonic, like a type of thing. But it can get in the way at times. But the Sagittarius, the Scorpio as an individual, we just gotta, it's something you gotta either learn to live with or you don't. You know what I'm saying? It's not too much compromising about that, because one thing about the Leo, they got to have their attention, they got to have their stage. The world is their stage. They love the attention, they love the crowds, they love the multiple friends and things of that nature, which can put a gap in a relationship. So you just got to work on that. It's just about compromise on that standpoint. And another thing about the Sagittarius woman that can get in the way in the Scorpio Sag relationship is the constant chatter, the constant babbling. Because Sagittarius, it's not the Sagittarius women either; it's the men too. Whether it's trying to be friends with the Sagittarius, they love to talk. They really love to talk. It ain't that we don't can listen to people talk for a long time, but they talk about like random shit like that don't really have no type of relevance, or it doesn't really make sense to what the conversation is adding up to. Like the Sagittarius will start going on a tangent about all types of things, and they just can be very random. It's like it can certain times it can unnerve the Scorpio, and a lot of times Sagittarius they have the tend to have that foot in their mouth syndrome where they blurt out information which should be left more discreet, things that shouldn't have been brought into the limelight, things they should have spoken about behind closed doors. They don't know how to do certain things as far as communication at the right time. Certain times they can be kind of sloppy in communication. They can be very sloppy in communication. They can be very rebellious, very reckless. You know what I'm saying? And the Scorpio will continuously, unfortunately, sting the poor thing. They don't mean any harm, They don't, they're not doing it to be, malice or be evil or nothing. That's just how they are. They're very talkative. They're very spontaneous. They're very playful. They're very adventurous. They're very wild. And as far as being Scorpio, we're more calm. We have a more mature way of handling ourselves. We handle things more discreetly. We look at things in more of a black and white. And Sagittarius, they're very optimistic. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes they're very optimistic. They always look at the bright side of everything, even to a point of being kind of naive and being taken advantage of by other people. And a lot of times, us in Scorpio, we will see that and try to protect them. And certain times, the Sagittarius will get mad at us for calling certain things out and saying we're too closed-minded and things of that nature. So it's all about understanding that communication gap, because they can really work on each other's nerves. Sagittarius and Scorpio can really work on each other's nerves. It can either work very well or it can either work very bad, because a lot of times the Sagittarius, they're very, just like we are, they're very blunt. At certain times they just being themselves. They are very outgoing. They're very out of the box. They're very untamed. So you just got to get used to that wild energy, that wild personality trait. Let me see. Y'all give me a second. I'm trying to hit everything here. Oh yeah, the Scorpios, very stubborn, very controlling personality traits at times can be very, it can be very baffling and very suffocating for the freedom-loving Archer lady, because she loves to have her freedom. She has to have her freedom. Is very, very necessary. Which I don't feel like a more mature Scorpio would mind doing that, but a more unevolved Scorpio might have a problem with sharing, the attention with all this freedom, because it can at certain times, it depends on how secure the Scorpio is. If the Scorpio is a secure man within itself, then it won't be a problem at all. But the more unevolved Scorpio and more clingy Scorpio might have extreme problems with this, because it can make them very unnerved. It can make them very insecure about all the roaming, like what is they doing, why she gotta have all this space, like why am I not good enough, and certain times it's not even that serious, but you deal with a Scorpio. Scorpio's the signs of dark extremes, obsessive compulsive behaviors, things of that nature. Hey Diamond, make sure you like the video. Hey Toy, being a Sag dominant, I love that I don't care when it comes to what I say, because I speak the truth. Sagittarius care about truth. Virgo the same way. What is you? Is you a Sag or Virgo, Toy? You can't be both. Which one is you? Are you a Sag or Virgo? Hey, Chuta. I don't know how to say it. I'm sorry. I know my friend from South Africa was watching earlier. I'm sorry, I couldn't enunciate your name. Yeah. The fire sign, it's a lot. I gotta go into the fire sign. It's a lot, but I had to do it. I can't skip around it forever. It's nothing wrong with the Virgos. Yeah, you could say that, but at the same time, you got to be like, certain Sagittarius, they cool, they cool to work with, but when you talk about being as far as the deeper sides of life, a lot of I would say the best kind of relationship as far as the Sagittarius would be like a more of a coops between the Sag and Scorpio. I wouldn't say a straight Sag would work very well most of the time with a Scorpio. They can work well as far as a friendship, but I'm talking about as far as a relationship, it would take a lot of understanding, a lot of building, because it's so many differences. I'm a Virgo, but I'm Leo and Sag dominant. Yeah, I could tell, Miss Facebook posts, because damn, you always on that motherfucker. Like that's another thing. Like we don't do all that social media, you know, blurting out our feelings and telling everybody how we feel about everything and wearing our sleeve, our hearts on our sleeve on Facebook. Like a lot of Sagittarius like doing that, like throwing out, what they bought you, or throwing out that you get proposed, or what you eating every day, or you buying a car, or you got a house. Why everybody needs to know that? Everybody don't need to know that. You know what I'm saying? If you putting up some educational information about health, talking about, the ills, of the world and spiritual information, that's different. But if you just, blurting out about celebrities and gossiping and being messy, you know what I'm saying? I don't feel that you really deserve the respect of a Scorpio, or any man of that nature, because it's very clear that you evidently have need time to mature. You need time to, because you're trying to impress other people that don't even know you. You know what I'm saying? You're trying to come across and be understood by people that don't even know you. You know what I'm saying? Like as far as you doing like lives, I can understand that. Like people doing lives, or having videos. If you're gonna do that, have some lives. Do something like that. Don't like what's Facebook. We're not gonna really get nothing out of that. Like that's a bunch of nosy people in your business. You know what I'm saying? That's what a lot of extroverted signs, as far as fire signs, have a problem with. They trust in people too much, to a certain extent, that we would never ever, as water signs, whether it's Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, we would never ever allow people into our square so fast as Sagittarius and Aries and Leo. Y'all let people jump into y'all square real fast, and y'all don't even question them. Let me see. I'm an Aries. I'm Nina. Hey, hello Nina. Hey Tayshay. Y'all make sure y'all like the video. I see a lot of people coming into the chat room. Y'all make sure y'all like. Don't. Oh yeah. Remind them to like the video. If any of my moderators in here, remind the people to like the video. I'm an Aries in a relationship with my Scorpio. I love the hell out of him, but he's mad at me right now, and the silent treatment is killing me. Yeah, I know, Nina. That's just how he is. You just give him his space and let him get over himself. He'll be all right. I can't stand when I'm serious and he's being sarcastic and arrogant at times. Yeah, a lot of times it's almost, it's an immature defense mechanism that a lot of times, as Scorpios have to realize what we're doing in order to, correct it and grow out of it. Just give him time to get out of his, immature stage, because, that's just how we are sometimes. We could be smart with the mouth, or really make people mad. That's just how he is. That's his way of being humorous. You know what I'm saying? Scorpio, we have a very, very blunt sense of humor also, and at times it can make people mad because we can come off as being uncaring at times. Okay, y'all give me it. Y'all, I can't get too off of it. I'm gonna come back to y'all. Hey Dima, Dima, I love Scorpio man for 2 years now. I'm a Leo. He is just stubborn and hold the past. And, hey Aquarius K, make sure you like. I'm glad I got my other moderator in here. I love Scorpio, and the 8th house is Scorpio. So I am cool. I need deep connection. Why not be you at all times? For it's me, not about people on social media being who you are. It's nothing wrong with being who you are. It's just like, it's what you're saying. It's about like, why are you giving people all this information? Like, why are you telling people how you feel about certain things? Certain things, it should be just kept to a discreet, kept in private. And that's what brings the enormous clash between the water and the fire signs. It's the discreetness, it's the privacy, it's the respect level, it's the communication, it's the ego. You know what I'm saying? Because the Aries and the Leo, they have their ego, they have extreme ego, and the Scorpio, they have our extreme ego, and we all have to put that aside if we want to become neutral with each other. We have to be diplomatic. we have to be wise and we have to be intelligent. You know what I'm saying? Then we can build, a relationship. Then we can build a friendship. But until you put your bullshit aside, until that fella put his bullshit to the side, as a Scorpio, then it's never going to work because it's going to be too much clashing heads. Because when you're talking about dealing with a Leo is a fixed sign, so they stubborn. They're not going to want to move. And the Scorpio is a fixed sign, so that we're not going to want to move or change. So it's about working things out. It's about understanding each other. But I feel like the Sagittarius, as an individual, as a lady, is the most compromising when it comes to talking. Even though they have a very chattery way about themselves, and they can be very talkative. They can be very, wild or rebellious at times. I feel like the Sagittarius women are more willing to sit down and have a talk and compromise and put down, their beefs and arguments and make things clear. I feel like the Sagittarius, as an individual, are more willing to compromise. A Leo, they're in the Aries are willing to do it, but Aries, you have to give a little bit of time, and Leo, they can hold a grudge for years. They will eventually come around, but it takes them a very long time because, just like I said, they're fixed signs. So when they get pissed off, I feel that they were wrong. I feel like something didn't go their way. They will hold it against you. They will take it to their grave with them, kind of like the Scorpio. But just like as the Scorpio grows, they mature and evolve, and certain personality traits become, almost non-existent. It's the same thing with a Leo. I feel like once the Leo woman matures and once she starts understanding the truth about herself, not as an individual, but just as a woman, period, and finding who she is and being very secure with who she is and being very satisfied with where she is in life, I feel that you will get the best out of your Leo woman. I feel like an incomplete Leo can be a disastrous person to make a relationship with, because the Leo are very driven, they're very passionate, they're very ambitious, and they're very stubborn. You know what I'm saying? And they like to have recognition. They want the recognition, they want the kudos, they want their respect, they want to be on top. So if you find a Leo that's not really doing good in life, a Leo that's really, at the bottom, a Leo that's being lazy and at times we all can get laziness or whatever, but when you find an unevolved Leo, they can be very lazy, very egotistic, very prideful, very arrogant, you know what I'm saying? At times, that's when you find an undeveloped Leo. But when you find a more mature, evolved Leo, you find a very prideful but very classy individual, a very bold individual, but a very brave individual. You know what I'm saying? A very talkative individual, but also a very loyal individual. So you just got to balance it all and see where your individual Leo, Aries, Sagittarius, or Scorpio falls in place. It's all about that individual. It's all about the characteristics of how mature that person is. How are they raised? What was their upbringing like? What were their values? What were the on life? You know what I mean? What were their morals and values and things that they held on a pedestal? What makes that individual? What are the things that push away Leos? Or should I say turn Leos off? I say what turns Leos off is a weak man. Period. A weak man. A weak ass man. They like I knew a Leo that had a nice guy. You know what I'm saying? She had a nice guy, but he was very soft. He was very soft spoken. He didn't really stand up for herself. And when she get out of control, he didn't really put her in check. She was very wild. She was buck wild. You know what I'm saying? I was one of the first men that ever really, stood up to her. And that's what made her really attracted me and have so much respect for me, because I wasn't scared to tell her about herself, even though she's this beautiful, bold woman. I wasn't scared to tell her, fuck you. You know what I'm saying? If you didn't get your shit together, you know, you can carry your ass. You know what I'm saying? They the type that if you're not the type that's gonna open your mouth and stand up for yourself, they not gonna stomp on your head, they gonna stomp on your toes and they gonna stomp on your eye and they gonna stomp on your wallet too. They gonna stomp on your wallet and your credit cards. But I feel like they hate weakness. They hate weakness and they hate followers. They hate people that follow. They like people to follow them. That's the crazy thing. They like people to follow them, but they don't like people that they're in relationship to be a follower of other people. You see what I'm saying? Like they like to be followed. They like to be admired, but they don't like nobody with those type of characteristics. It's weird, but hey, that's how they are. Ellen, Scorpio, and Virgo. Virgo and Scorpio. Okay. Okay. Let me see. Ellen, I'm gonna give you a wrench, Ellen. You a new moderator. You my new moderator, Ellen. Hold on. Matter of fact, I know she might not be watching the video now, but maybe she'll watch it later. I seen her in the beginning. I don't know how to enunciate your name. It starts with an N. From Miss South Africa. I'm gonna make you a moderator, Miss South Africa. I'm gonna make you a moderator. Give me a second. Yeah, I gave you a moderator, Miss NTOKOZO. I made you a moderator, so I got much love for South Africa, much love for all the islands. Nikki Jones, much love to everybody. Wendy Rogers, okay, I'm gonna make you a moderator, Wendy. I'll make my friend Wendy Rogers. I'll make you a moderator. Yeah, Leos hate weak men. They hate men that are not very ambitious, men that don't really have no passion. You know, if you type of man that's going to be like a bump on the log, that's not going to have no personality, that's going to be very boring, that's going to want to stay in the house all the time, that's not going to want to take chances, that's not going to, you know, stand up for yourself. She's going to make your life a living hell, and she's going to walk you with the leash. You know what I mean? With the electric leash, with the shock collar on it, because she know what she's dealing with, and she already know how to deal with you. Oh, okay. Thank you, friend. You my new moderator. Let me make sure I hit all my points. And the Scorpios, we're attracted to the direct confidence in the Leo and how she communicates, how bold she is. We love that within the Leo, but it's just when the Leo tries to, you know, hold on, I'm gonna get my friend. I'm gonna, you know, we like that. We like a confident woman. We like a bold woman, but we just don't like a disrespectful woman. We don't like a clamorous, you know, argumentative, you know, type of woman. We want a woman that has her confidence, but she knows how to hold her man at a position of authority. You know what I'm saying? She knows how to hold herself in a certain, you know, position. And let me stay shake. I feel he just called. I'm talking to him. Oh, okay, Taysha. Oh. I must have talked him up. Miss Bubbly 76. Hey, I'm a Pisces, laid back, more like a loner. Been back talking to a Scorpio man for 4 years, and we like in many ways. Let's see where it goes. Okay. Oh, okay, okay. I'm happy you did call. Let me know how that works out, Taysha. Let me know how that works out. Matter of fact, I'm gonna give you a wrench right quick, Taysha. I don't know. I feel like giving out wrenches for some reason. I give everybody a wrench, shit. But I just want to, you know, make that clear, because a lot of times in Scorpio we come off as not really fucking with the Leo like that, or being like Nah, they too bossy. Yeah, it just the thing about you can't boss a Scorpio man. Like you can't make a Scorpio man do anything. And I think a lot of times the Leo are very confused by that because they're so used to getting their way because they are the pampered princesses of the zodiac. Don't get it twisted. They are the pampered princesses that do get their way no matter what. But we're dealing with a Scorpio. They don't get that flexibility. They don't get that certain control and that certain standpoint of of having their way, and at times it can aggravate the Leo because they're so used to being able to wrap men around their finger and get what they want by just winking their eye and swaying their hips, getting what they want with their sassy hair and swinging their hair back up, being that very sassy cat, and like the Leo had that very like a just like a lion, like that sassy cat, what I mean, like that tiger, a Leo, like just like the lion, tiger, whatever type of cat you could think of, just like with an Aries, they have that fiery thing about them, but they're not going to they're not going to control you once they realize that you will stand up for yourself, that you do have that confidence, that you are worth being respected. You have a wonderful woman you dealing with. You have a woman that's going to be very protective. Also, you have a woman that's going to be very passionate about your relationship. You have a woman that's going to be very she's very supportive. I say that Aries are very supportive women. They're very grateful women. When whatever you do, but it's just at times their temper flares and their outbursts can sometimes get in the way. It can make them seem like they're crazy at times, just like Scorpios, because at times it can seem like it comes completely out the blue. About pamper princes of the zodiac, very true. We know who we are, but I know and 100% wanted to give over control to my Scorpio that's feminine. Okay, okay, yeah, yeah, definitely. It takes time. Um, yeah, the passion and charisma of the Aries, the Sagittarius, her adventurous nature, how she's able to, how she's loving traveling, how a lot of Sagittarius women, not all, but a lot of Sagittarius women are very athletic. They're very bold. They're very outgoing. They're very charismatic. Um, I wanted to show y'all my little thing I had, but I'm gonna do it on one of my next videos. I'll show y'all. I got this nice little joint, and I'm gonna go into like what causes problems, what causes little problems, and it's just like three little facts. Then I'm gonna close it out with the common, what we had in common with these signs. Okay. Um, the extrovertedness of the fire signs and Aries and Sagittarius and Leo lady, talking to multiple people, having friendships and acquaintances, it can really put a gap in a relationship, and put a gap and a separation in the bond between the two as far as a Scorpio and in a fire sign relationship, and it could bring disastrous outcomes because it's not nothing. Oh yeah, and hello, Miss Talia, who is also an Aries, Miss Satisfied Black, Scorpio lady. I appreciate all the love from y'all, but yeah, it can cause disastrous outcomes because people don't understand. Just like I said, it's not necessarily that what the fire sign, what the Sagittarius, what the Leo Aries is doing wrong, but it has when you bring in other acquaintances and when you have multiple friendships with all these different types of real people that you really don't have any common substance with, are really having that strong relationship with as far as knowing them for a certain amount of time and really understanding these people and bringing into your personal relationships, your personal, friendships, your personal family members, and bringing all these different personalities, all these multiple people around that you really don't know, that you really don't use discernment. That's what a lot of fire signs, certain fire signs, not all of them, but certain fire signs I've seen that they don't use real discernment when it comes to judgment as far as you know if it's a 5 sign female, like her friends, you know, hanging her family members, certain people, especially a Leo, because they love these big crowds and they have these enormous crowds of friends, especially the younger Leo women. Like they have these enormous crowds of friends. They might be the popular girl in their city or whatever, and it could bring in a disastrous results because you have all these different personalities come in, which is okay to be diverse. It's okay to be open hearted and to welcome people into your circle, but you have to use discernment because certain people have certain motives and certain people have certain, agendas when they step in, when they come around you, when they come around your relationship, when they call you on the phone, when they hit you up on social media, they have certain, ulterior motives and certain agendas as far as, you personally are, as far as, sabotaging your relationships, bringing a gap between you and the love that you're trying to build. They can bring in disastrous results. So you got to be more careful. You got to use better judgment when it comes to having friends and bringing in loved ones. Hold on, Mr. Lee. I know you don't be around Mr. Leah too much, but I'm gonna make you a moderator. I'm gonna give you a wrench. Even though I know you don't be here all the time, I'm gonna give you a wrench, Mr. Lee. I know everybody be having their schedule, so I gotta make a certain amount of you that I can trust moderators to help me in my videos. Y'all make sure that people like my videos. Y'all make sure that if y'all see a troll or something coming to the chat room, make sure y'all get rid of the trolls. Make sure y'all like my videos. Make sure you tell people like my videos. That's all the moderator does. Just make sure it ain't no trolls because when I give you a wrench, you have a power to take the trolls out. So if you see somebody being inappropriate or something, you can silence them and just things of that nature. So y'all just basically watch my back, and I got your back. Let me see. Hello, I love watching your videos. This is my first time I caught your live. I'm a Taurus woman and I'm dealing with a Scorpio man. Help me. Okay. I'm gonna give you my email address and you just hit me up on my email. Now give me a second. I told you this is just a part one. This is not even a whole full video, so keep that in mind. This is just a part one. Y'all make sure y'all like too as y'all come into the chat room. Hey, Lucille Richardson. Hello. Hey, Lucille. Miss, it's so many of y'all. I really appreciate all the love. Aquamarine and Greens G. I love the shit out of my Scorpio, and he's so touchy. We all are touchy, but it's just just like I said, it's just understanding. Once you understand the heart and spirit of the Scorpio and where we are coming from, especially if once he becomes more expressive and more vocal, able to communicate with you and express himself, like I'm able to communicate with y'all. So when you see me as a Scorpio, you be like, my Scorpio is so far away from that, and he's so quiet, and he doesn't really open up, and he's not very friendly, and I don't understand why he's not like you, and you're younger than he is. You have to understand. I went through tragedies. I went through hell. I went through bad experiences and chaos, and it molded me. Just like I was telling y'all in my yesterday video. Y'all haven't seen my yesterday video. Y'all make sure y'all watch that too. It molded me into the person that I am. You know what I'm saying? It made me, it matured me, it evolved me. It made me more able to welcome people. It made me be able to show people love and be more friendly and more outgoing and more open-minded and having a more broad way of looking at things. That's where it came from. It came from me, my experiences. So don't look at your Scorpio and be like, oh, he's so uninvolved because he don't act like God by 2009, or he doesn't communicate like he does. It took me years. I'm just now getting to this point. You know what I'm saying? I'm just now, like, I've been getting to this point since it's been a 4-year journey. like a 4-year journey. You know what I'm saying? For me, since I've been really on this spiritual journey, been able to really collide with people and really just look at the differences, and I look at more of the similarities than the differences. I try to understand people before I turn them away. I'm not I'm not using that same closed, ignorant mind that I was programmed with. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking outside of what I was programmed to, think. You know what I'm saying? So it takes time. It takes time, and it takes education. Uh, Let me see. The Scorpio, may prefer a more private lifestyle, and free of crowds, free of drama, which the Leo loves, and I don't take this wrong, which the Leo loves to drink like water. Like, and I'm not saying it's all Leos, I'm saying this a lot of Leos, they drink drama like what I'm saying, like a camel drinks water. Like they love dramatic, they love that drama, they love that they love those big crowds, they love that more extravagant, more loud, more exciting lifestyle, which can cause a lot of multiple problems. But at times, it can be good. At times, at certain times you need more excitement. At certain times you need that to liven up your life. At times you need to have more fun and do things. But at times you need to step back. So it's like they balance each other out. You know what I'm saying? That's why I say the Scorpio and the Leo balance each other out, because at certain times the Leo needs to sit down and be more withdrawn and get away from the crowds. And at times the Scorpio needs to be more outgoing and step outside of our comfort level, because we're not the types that really like to step outside our comfort level. Is it a low level Scorpio trait vol- to volatile when he feels rejected, to be volatile when he feels rejected? I never spoke on anything, so I had no clue. So I've been blocked everywhere since last August, except for email. He's 38, so shouldn't he be a man by now? Speak up. I'm not gonna lie, I did have certain disagreements with people. Like when I was in my more immature stage, yeah, I did like Scorpio. We are the type of people that we're either on or off. We're either hot or cold. There's no in between. Like once we don't want to deal with somebody, we are all the way off. We don't really turn back. So like as far as decision making, I was at one point I was very cold and very unbending. Like I use that word, unbending, not willing to turn my head on my decisions and be more just very blunt, and sometimes oftentimes very cold and very unforgiving. So yeah, it could be a trait, Wendy. Yeah, it can definitely be a trait. Yeah, but this it's just another thing that you just got to balance out. You just got to understand that you know certain times you just got to back away from the crowd. Certain times you need to be more outgoing. So you just got to know where the extremes are and how to control it and how to balance it between the fire signs and the water signs. The Sagittarius don't really have that much patience when it comes to being in a loyal relationship. For what I've seen, like a lot of Sagittarius don't have a lot of patience either. And a lot of times they don't have. They can be very scattered. To me, they can be scatterbrained at times. They can be all over the place. They're not very good at just having that type of standstill, like that calm type of personality trait. Like they're very all over the place at times, but it can kind of unnerve the Scorpio, because at times it just seems like they're not loyal. Like one thing can happen and then they disappear. Like they can say it could be the same thing with Scorpios too. Like one thing can happen and then next thing. That's why I said it all depends on the level of the person, because Sagittarius, like you can say one thing that they don't like or do something that they don't like, and next minute they disappearing or they don't want to talk to you no more, or they just don't have that loyalty type of thing with them. Like it don't take much for to make them leave. That's from what I've seen. They disappear very fast. Like Sagittarius women are they don't really have that longevity type of thing. It's definitely an expiration date when it comes to the Sagittarius women I've seen. If y'all out there, let me know, because I haven't seen any Sagittarius women that really has any strong loyalty characteristic traits. Common likes. I'm gonna go into this. This will be my last 3 points. The common likes. The Aries ladies, they're ambitious and they're very bold, which the Scorpio loves, because we're very ambitious, we're very bold, we're very straight to the point. We understand that it takes passion, it takes fire, it takes temperament, it takes respect to get to places in life, and that's how the Scorpio approaches life, and that's the same way that the Aries does, and that's another thing that we have a lot in common. The Sagittarius lady has an ambitious nature. She has a lot of energetic energy. She has a very adventurous nature, which can cause a wonderful relationship. As long as the Sagittarius and Scorpio understand each other, as long as we compromise with each other, I feel like it can work. You know what I'm saying? I feel like if we as Scorpios get to a point where at the point in our lives where we feel like we are at a more point where we are willing to compromise, it can work. But if a Scorpio already in that temperament, in that mindset where this is what we want to deal with, and we're not trying to deal with none of that shit, and we don't want to try to understand, then it's not going to work at all. If you're not the type of Scorpio that's not going to sit down and compromise, if you're not the type of fire sign lady that wants to compromise, that want everything your way, it's not going to work. You know what I mean? Don't waste your time, and don't make him waste his time. You know what I'm saying? If you're the type that wants shit your way, then, most likely you shouldn't even be in a relationship, let alone a Scorpio. But if you want things to be a certain way, then you got to be willing to put some shit to the side. You got to be willing to check your shit at the door, then he can follow suit. But until you able to do the equivalent, don't ask for any unrealistic expectations. You got to hold yourself on the same accountability. You know what I'm saying? You definitely got to be held at the same accountability. Let me see. And this is the last one that I'm going to say about the Leo. The Leo relationship can work. It can work with a lot of diplomatic negotiation. A Leo relationship can work with the Scorpio with a lot of diplomatic negotiation. And for the kids that are watching, diplomatic means fair. That means even, right down the middle, 50-50. You know what I'm saying? It has to be an even negotiation. You know what I mean? You have to have a sit down at the round table. Y'all have to actually put y'all disagreements and things like that you're not pleased with on the table, and work it out and see where y'all stand at, and be realistic about it, and be able to be honest with yourself and about that. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like it can work. And this is just a part one. I'm gonna correct it after I finish the video, but it's just a part one. So I wanted to do this one because I know y'all been waiting for me to do this one for a long time about the fire signs. But I love y'all. You know what I'm saying? I love y'all so much. And if you want me to do anything personally, just let me know. You know what I mean? Just make sure you look out for me and show me that love on my PayPal link in the description, in my comments. Please comment, please like, please share my videos. As always, I love hearing from y'all. I got so much stuff coming up for y'all, so don't feel like I just been messing around. Y'all know I wait and make sure I put the stuff out at the right time. But I've been really enjoying this. I've been really excited about this. I've been feeling really. I've been having a whole lot of extra energy because I've been doing a lot of fasting, a lot of detoxing. So I have a lot of high vibration right now, and I'm feeling very good. I'm feeling very energetic. I'm not even tired. I've been up, almost 3 days straight, and I'm still feeling like very, very energetic, very outgoing, very alert. I feel very spiritual, very connected with the people that watch me. I feel very connected to y'all. So let's enjoy the ride. Support me as you always have. If you from overseas, in particular, if for anywhere or whatever, but especially if you're from overseas, please put where you came from in the comment after the video is over. When you comment, please put where you represent, what country you represent, what continent you come from, and things of that nature, because I really love seeing that. I know I used to always tell y'all to do that, but y'all let me know where you from. Let me know who you represent, and I love y'all. Much love. Much love to all the ladies. Much love to all the fellas. You know what I mean? Homeboys, dap, pound, slap, 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 high five. I love y'all. You know what I mean? I appreciate all the love. Thank you so much. You know what I mean? I appreciate that. I got so much stuff coming out for y'all, but just like I told y'all, I'm not gonna throw it at y'all like frisbee. I'm gonna make sure everything is done the right way. I'm gonna make sure I do everything the right way. Facts. So I put a lot into this. So I thank y'all. I thank y'all so much. I appreciate all the love. I appreciate all the just all the support and everything. So y'all be safe. Y'all be careful. Y'all be blessed. And I'm gonna holler at y'all later. I hope y'all enjoyed it. This is just part one. Just part one. And if you feel like it's another video that you feel like I need to complete, y'all let me know. Just hit me up and I'm gonna holler at y'all later. And I'll see y'all. Peace out.